How long does it take to develop a habit? A minute to win it. In this episode, I'm going to address the question, how long does it take to develop a habit? And I will teach you how to develop a habit in less than 1 minute. Yep, it's true. So my name's Doug Andrew, and I've had many people come to my educational events. In fact, I received this honorary award with the National Speakers Association a couple of years ago, and I had to report how many hours I had spoken in public to audiences of 40 up to 20,000. And it was north of 90,000 hours. Those are live audiences. I also have a national radio show. And so when you think of them, usually every week my radio show reaches between 1 to 3 million people in various states and what have you. Through all of that, when I teach people about concepts that they ask me questions, it's usually financial questions that they have, because I'm a financial strategist. I'm a retirement planning specialist, but they get very intrigued because I start talking about more than just money. Yeah, I can show people how to accumulate money tax-free and then be able to create tax-free income that will knock the socks off of an IRA or 401k, and how to participate when the market goes up and not lose when it goes down. Yeah, I can show them how to do that, not outlive their money due to the negative impact of taxes, inflation, and market volatility that causes most retirees to run out of money. This episode is not about that. It's about the other two dimensions, because we call this three-dimensional wealth. It's like a three-legged stool. One dimension is the financial. The other two are the foundational and intellectual dimensions. And that has to do with your relationships, your knowledge, your wisdom, your beliefs, your values. And so in those two dimensions, I call them legacy dimensions, you want to leave behind to your kids and grandkids, instead of a bunch of money, C-A-S-H, cash, I recommend you leave behind the K-A-S-H. That's an acronym that stands for knowledge, attitude, skills, and habits. It's sort of like leaving behind how to fish instead of dumping a bunch of fish in their lap. Then they'll never be unemployed. They'll be captains of their own soul, able to handle any curveball life throws at them, self-reliant individuals. And so a lot of people really love this approach. And so they will come to me and ask me about concepts like moments that matter. And so I have in a series on this channel, Three-Dimensional Wealth, several episodes that talk about moments that matter, because every day all of us experience a dozen or two, sometimes 100 or 200 moments that matter. Sometimes they're planned moments, other times they're anticipated, other times they're unexpected. You don't even see them coming because it's a crisis, an accident, or something like that. But see, it's all in how you handle moments that matter. So in other episodes, I talk about how to pause in the busyness of life. When wisdom calls, don't send it to voicemail, recognize it, and don't be upset. You can choose to be upset, but you're not obligated to be. And you do a split-second turn in your brain, and you pause. You notice and you think for a moment, okay, maybe this is a moment that is very significant, instead of just saying, how many times have I told you not to interrupt me when I'm on my computer, son? Or you snap at your spouse, your most important partner in life, and you go, I've answered that 4 times, honey. No, why would you react that way? You lean into what's possible, and then you become better. So it's how you then react to these, or be proactive when wisdom calls. Don't send it to voicemail. Well, in all of this, people say, how do you develop that into a habit? Well, it's easier than most people think. So when I ask audiences, how long does it take to develop a habit? The most common answer I get is 21 days. And I go, oh, really? Now, some people say 30 days. Others say 17 days, depending upon which study they read or whatever. And I go, that's really interesting, because throughout my life, I've been helping people in these events for 48 years. And they will quote these numbers, 21 days to develop a habit, 30 days. And I actually did some research, and there has never been a study, a bona fide study, that actually proves that it takes 17 days, 21 days, or 30 days. But we latch onto these because we heard about them. So I learned from Dr. Robert Cooper, who is a neuroscientist. He studies the brain, that you can actually develop a habit in less than 60 seconds. And people go, no way. Yes way. Do you want to understand how? Before I explain how, if this is already intriguing you, and you can think of somebody that ought to watch this episode, be sure and click share, post a comment, click like. But I would invite you to subscribe to this channel because it's free, three-dimensional wealth, and click the little bell so you'll be notified every time I post a new episode, which I do at least 20 times a month, almost a daily basis. I don't want you to miss out. But stay with me to the end of this episode because I want to gift you a copy of a 200-page book, and I want you to claim your free copy. You don't have to pay $20 retail on Amazon to get it. It's my 10th book, and it's life-changing. So how do you develop a habit in less than 60 seconds? Simply, you want to have a triggering event. So when I ask people this, you can develop it in 59 seconds or less. Sometimes you do what I'm going to share with you, and you repeat it at least 3 times, maybe 20 minutes apart, and you will lock it in. It doesn't take 21 days or 30 days. So you choose a triggering event that will remind you automatically when to do this habit. So let me give you a few examples. I have a habit I developed years ago that every night before I go to sleep, I want to focus on 3 wins, 3 things that went right during the day. And so I have a triggering event. As soon as I take my feet off the floor and swing them into bed, that triggering event reminds me to either write down 3 wins in a little book by my bed or enter them in my smartphone in what is called a win streak. It's an app where you enter 3 wins. Or it reminds me to turn over to my spouse and say, hey, what were your 3 wins or positive accomplishments? What went right today for you? And then she asked me, what were 3 wins for you? But that's what I mean by a triggering event. I cannot go to sleep unless I do that. Now, another triggering event that I teach youth in our church is, every time you plug in your cell phone at night and you power it up while you're asleep, that's a reminder to power your cell phone to plug into a higher power, God. So envision yourself very clear for 59 seconds. Every time you plug in your phone, you're going to plug into God. That reminds you to have a prayer or at least meditate. And so they sink that in 59 seconds so clear in their mind that every time they plug in their cell phone, that's the triggering event that reminds them to plug into God. Does that make sense? I have another one when I fly. I fly a lot. So whenever, because I used to be a pilot, not of a big jet, but I had 2 small aircraft. But see, every time I hear the landing gear come down on a jet, I know that I have about 120 seconds before we hit the tarmac, okay? Unless they do an emergency go-around. So when I hear the landing gear goes down, even if I'm snoozing, I recognize that. And that reminds me to repeat 13 affirmations and see if I can repeat all 13 of them before the plane touches down. And I can't help it. My brain just goes there, and I begin to repeat these affirmations. I believe in being honest, true, chaste, and benevolent, and in doing good to all men. I go on and I repeat these 13 affirmations. And that triggering event is when the landing gear comes down on the plane. So I have several of these, and this is how you develop a habit, because you choose a triggering event that happens on a regular basis. And when that happens, it reminds you to do this. And that's what I teach people with moments that matter. When you have a moment that matters and you are tempted to react, no, you want to pause for a moment. So again, don't get upset, you pause for a moment, and you lean into what's possible, and you do a split-second turn is what I call it. You can search this channel. I have episodes that explain what that is. So are you beginning to understand how you develop a habit? You put it in your brain, and you actually practice it 3 times, about 10 to 20 minutes apart, and you have developed a habit. You don't have to take 21 days. You don't have to take 30 days to develop a habit. This has been a life-changing concept for me. I hope it is for you, but before you leave, let me tell you this. The key is to just do it. So choose to be around people who are like this, who choose to celebrate moments that matter, to develop good habits, and to be able to recognize these. Let me give you one last little insight, because in the world we live in, we are so overcome with technology that we are becoming the worst learners in the history of the world, but we're surrounded by the most information that any society has ever had. What's up with that? Well, we have information at our fingertips. Is that good or bad? See, you feel like, well, I don't need it because all I have to do is push search. I mentor troubled youth, and they think they are smart. They think they are wise because they know how to push search. The problem is they believe anything that comes up when they Google and they push search, and hello, I would say over 80% of that garbage that comes up is not true. And yet they believe it because they push search. So this is what we call fake intelligence. What does this have to do with what I'm talking about? You wanted to develop a habit so that you don't get sucked into just automatically pushing search or Googling something and then believing it, or you will miss out on opportunities galore. That's fake intelligence. In other words, the illusion of learning, where information is masquerading as learning, but instead is actually undermining learning and knowledge. Now, if you just got an epiphany or an aha from that last little concept on this episode, I can teach you how to have habits so that you recognize moments that matter. You get into the habit of not just thinking you're smart or you are wise, because it's so easy to pull out your smartphone and go search. Because if you do that, your kids will do that, and they will have fake intelligence, and they're going to have a hard time dealing with life on their own and learning how to figure out what is truth and what is error. So I want to gift you a free copy of my book, Entitlement, Abolition. Here's how you can claim your free copy. Here is how to claim your copy. Go to entitlementabolitionbook.com. This is the book. It's a 200-page book. It retails for $20 on Amazon. Now, I want to gift you a copy of this. So if you go to entitlementabolitionbook.com or click on the link below, you contribute a nominal amount towards the shipping and handling. I'll cover the rest of that cost, okay? And I will pay for the book, and I'll fire out a hard copy to you. But there's options in there when you do that to, if you like to listen and learn or watch and learn. There's even an 18-hour masterclass that I recorded where I do a deep dive, far more than the book teaches, where each chapter is covered for an hour to 2 hours. And in that, you'll learn about concepts like moments that matter and how to develop a habit in less than 60 seconds, and hundreds of other concepts just like that one. So look at the various educational portals that are there. But this is about you, not about me, your brighter future. So seize the moment that matters, claim your free copy, and I want to see you on the other side of your brighter future.